Hello, it's Haley. In this video, we're gonna talk, super excited about it, about the next lunation, which is gonna be a new moon in the sign of Cancer on the 17th of July. I almost said August, but it's July. So in this video, as always, we're just gonna kind of talk about some of the features of the lunation chart, which I have in front of me, and then I'm also going to just kind of talk about some of the themes that maybe some subtle, maybe some not so subtle, that might show up in our lives around this lunation. And as always, you're welcome to share your experience in the comments section so we can kind of build this community of kind of talking about how we notice the transits, the planets impacting our lives. And then I'll also pull some tarot cards for us as a collective to kind of get some more images to kind of run with. So we'll just get right into it. So the new moon in Cancer, the sun and the moon are going to be conjunct, the exact same degree of the exact same sign. So they're going to be at 24 degrees of the sign of Cancer, which is a cardinal water sign in the chart ruler, which is based off of the timing of this lunation, which let me double check. It's 2:31 p.m. Eastern time, so adjust to your time zone. And this chart has an early Scorpio rising. So that means that the chart ruler for this lunation is going to be Mars, which has recently ingressed into the sign of Virgo, and it's in the 11th house in this chart. And I feel like when I was kind of thinking about this, kind of sitting on it, I kind of felt like this lunation was a time of like a renewal of faith, a renewal of maybe being redirected in certain ways, maybe having some sort of revelation around where we want to be headed, as a lot of the times the 11th house kind of has to do with, in addition to like friends and alliances, also there is kind of some meaning traditionally associated around like the future, dreams, aspirations. But because Mars and Virgo is there, that's a very kind of like analytical, precise, methodological, like there's a method, just kind of slowly chipping away at a goal with a real kind of systematic, that's the word, approach to achieving a goal. And with Virgo, it can be very health oriented. So maybe kind of seeing some ways that we want to focus on health, holistic well-being, kind of a future that's more connected to the paces of the seasons. Sometimes it's kind of a theme with Virgo, is kind of getting grounded back into the earth. Yeah, we have planets in all three earth signs in this chart. So again, yeah, getting grounded. If we can be near a body of water or in a forest or a garden or wherever you feel close to the earth, would be maybe a good time around this new moon, and kind of like a nourishing, rejuvenating time to maybe allow yourself to kind of hear that kind of quiet inner voice of like, what feels right to focus on as a next kind of intention or aspiration. And then also, so as I said, the sun and the moon are in Cancer in the 9th house, which is kind of where I got that kind of indication around renewal of faith, maybe. And then I also found that this lunation is opposite Pluto in the 3rd house. And so I find that the 3rd and the 9th house, in addition to many other themes, kind of have to do a little bit with scale and differences in scale. So like big distances, small distances, the micro level, the very like Virgo topics, and then like the macro, the Pisces or, the Sagittarius, the Jupiter ruled kind of significations of very small and very big. And so kind of around this redirection or some sort of emerging new realization, or kind of, it can be a little bit more subtle with this lunation with the Virgo and the Cancer, just this kind of like a feeling like, ooh, I would like to have this feeling of peace or contentment in my life on the regular. So how can I work to kind of actually implement things that can bring that kind of down into reality? And so around what I was saying around scale, maybe some sort of revelation around, well, I kind of thought that my future, I wanted it to kind of look this way, like this really big career thing. But actually, if I'm getting really honest with myself, the things that matter the most to me are like relationships or contributing to my family or my community, or just kind of like a difference in scale where the impact and the fulfillment that we get from it is maybe greater than this kind of lofty vision, or just like I thought I wanted to move to this faraway region, but actually, if I'm getting really honest, I would really like to kind of put down roots and get really acquainted with my local community and the land that I'm on. So just kind of, or the opposite way, like I kind of felt like I was kind of pigeoning myself into this little box when really I have this really big vision. Yeah, so adjustments of scale, adjustments of expectations around specifically relationships. We have Uranus and Jupiter, as well as the North Node in the 7th house. So readjusting kind of expectations, and maybe just that's an area of our lives that we should kind of, keep an eye on, is our relationships and how they're merging. And yes, and I will also say the chart ruler, Mars, in the sign of Virgo, is opposite Saturn in Pisces. So kind of just being aware of any sort of underlying tendency or belief that we need to kind of suffer or go on this kind of like spiritual martyrdom in order to experience this future that we desire, and kind of like getting grounded in that very Cancerian notion that like of inherent self-worthiness, and that we don't need to really make ourselves suffer in this kind of self-flagellating way in order to be okay. So yeah, I think, and also I will say, the last thing I will say before I start shuffling the tarot is that we have Mercury in the sign of Leo conjunct the midheaven. So kind of some sort of realization or kind of display, or just this importance of self-expression. And as this is a new mood, kind of planting the seeds of like, how do I want to express myself in the future? And Leo is a sign of very like, it's kind of an overused word these days, but authenticity. So very much like grounded in, it's ruled by the sun. So just kind of this unapologetic being in one's essence, one's energy of kind of, and being able to communicate and to relate to others from that place. So if we're noticing that relationships are kind of strained or taking some different turns of direction, maybe we should just kind of reflect on, are we kind of communicating or showing up publicly as well as privately, I guess, in ways that feel really honest, is something that I would ask. Okay, so now let's see what messages want to come up to kind of allow us to elaborate on some of those themes I was just discussing. What are some of the themes, some of the images, some of the archetypes that can help us work with this Cancer new moon? What are the cards that can help us work with the Cancer new moon? Oh, okay. We got a lot of cards that just jumped out there. Okay. Let's see. Okay. Okay. We've got a lot of pentacles and a lot of cups, which we would expect for the kind of earth and water dominated kind of planetary locations for the chart. So let's see. Okay. Where do I want to start? Okay, so these are some very beautiful cards that came up. So we have the 10 of Cups. That's great. We also have the 9 of Cups. Then we have the 9 of Pentacles. Okay, this is very Virgo Cancer to me, of just, again, this kind of clarifying something that's emerging, because it's a new moon. Maybe it's something that we're not going to get complete kind of evidence that we can actually in reality move towards this thing, or kind of concretizing this kind of what can initially be kind of quiet or dim, but kind of this really beautiful, just kind of like, the word that comes to mind is like embodied contentment, just being worthiness, like feeling like we are worthy for the futures that we desire, and kind of working with any sort of things that are coming up that are kind of contrary to that, kind of beliefs that we don't deserve wealth or to be supported materially, monetarily, or we don't deserve to kind of have this beautiful, not that there will be no conflicts, but this kind of, this satisfaction, like being like everything feels like it's okay. Okay, so themes around work. Again, with the Mars and Virgo opposite Saturn and Pisces, feeling like we need to just kind of work at this goal relentlessly. There can be like a relentless spiritual kind of journey that can be sometimes kind of like not very focused on what's here and now, but very oriented to like what we have to change, or what, like more growth that needs to be achieved. And so kind of being aware of the areas where it feels like work has become really stale, and if we're so lucky to kind of, again, because this is, the new moon is a great time to, you know, rest, take a step back for reflection, that if we can do it with others, to kind of, this would be a really good time to kind of be in community with other people. Yeah. Let's see. The Lovers in reverse. Again, what I said around relationships and really high expectations for how other people need to be in order to fit into our kind of vision. Just kind of, also, not only, you know, the lovers don't always speak to external romantic relationships, but again, the inner kind of dynamic that we have within ourselves of the masculine and the feminine. Let's see if I can actually, I'm gonna get some clarification on the Lovers in reverse, because this is interesting. Can I please get some clarification on the Lovers in reverse? Thank you. Okay, yeah, so there's a few signs of just kind of feeling maybe a little threatened, a little bit of conflict rising up with others. You know, we have, yes, the 5 and the 6 of Wands in the reversed position. Okay, power plays, feeling like we can only, kind of themes around like the Hermit and feeling like we can only go on this spiritual conquest in complete isolation from others, or feeling threatened by the amount of growth or change that other people are going through, and feeling like we need to kind of restore some sort of equilibrium or show them how things are done. Okay, yeah, so just watching again our relationships, that's just some kind of clarification to what I was saying earlier, as they always are, reflections of where we're at. So, but I really love this energy right here of the 9 and the 10 of Cups, as well as the 9 of Pentacles, of just kind of like really tapping into, if you could build any future in scale, and the logistics were not a constraint, this kind of energy of possibility is coming in really, really strong, of kind of being expanded into thinking that more things are possible. So if you can kind of sit with that, that could be really beautiful. Maybe journaling, the chart ruler being in Virgo, maybe making a list, just like, these are the feelings, the qualities that I really value for myself to be in the future. This is how I want to feel. This is how I see myself contributing and using my gifts. This kind of just like really open, joyful kind of like, the best is yet to come energy, which is very exciting, but also a good time to kind of reflect and kind of notice that like we have maybe some things now that, you know, the cliche that we used to want, and kind of being grateful for that, but also feeling expanded that the best is yet to come. And maybe time is also an important thing, I will say, with the chart ruler opposite Saturn is kind of, he was the Lord of time. And so the importance of, you know, divine timing, things taking time, the classic agrarian new moon type things of the things that we plant now aren't the things that we harvest the next day. And so if we have this kind of flash of inspiration that feels too big to sustain, kind of having faith that that has expanded us enough, and that in perfect timing, what is for us will not go past us. So yeah, if you'd like to book a chart reading with me where we can go over your natal chart, reach out at projectvenusrising, all lowercase, at gmail.com, and I'll get back to you. So have a beautiful day.